My lungs were burning, my feet were screaming, and somewhere behind me in this dark parking garage, motorcycle engines were getting closer. I clutched my heels in one hand and ran faster. My heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. My phone was dead, the exit signs flickered overhead like they were mocking me. And the worst part, I had no idea who was chasing me or why they wanted me dead. The engine roar echoed off the concrete walls. Getting closer. Closer. Okay, let me back up. Because 3 weeks ago, I was just a normal girl trying to survive in this city. And I had no idea my life was about to turn into an actual nightmare. 3 weeks earlier, I sat in my tiny apartment staring at my laptop screen, trying not to cry. Again, we're letting you go, effective immediately. That's what my old boss had said 2 days before. No warning. No severance, just gone. And my rent was due in a week. I scrolled through job listings with shaking hands. Most required 5 years of experience for entry-level pay. Perfect, then I saw it, an executive assistant position. Good salary, immediate start, a company called Cross Enterprises, some kind of import-export business. I applied at midnight. They called me at 8 the next morning. The interview was that afternoon. I walked into the sleekest office I'd ever seen, glass walls, modern furniture, everything screamed money and power. The receptionist barely looked at me before pointing down the hall. Mr. Cross will see you now. My heels clicked on the marble floor as I walked toward the corner office. I smoothed down my blazer, took a breath, and knocked. Come in, that voice, deep, commanding, the kind of voice that made you want to listen. I opened the door and froze. The man behind the desk was stunning. Not in a pretty way. In a dangerous way. Sharp jawline. Maya Rodriguez. He stood up, and I realized he was tall. Really tall. Yes, sir. I shook his hand. My first week working for Dominic Cross was perfect. Maybe a little too perfect. He was a dream boss. Respectful, smart, and he actually listened to my ideas. He'd bring me coffee, remember my allergies during lunch meetings, and even make me laugh with his dry humor. And okay, fine, he was a little flirty. The way his eyes would linger a beat too long. The way he'd lean in close to review a document, close enough for me to smell that dark, expensive cologne. But there were odd things. I'd catch glimpses of tattoos peeking from under his shirt collar, dark ink that didn't fit his corporate image. I saw the scars on his knuckles that looked like they'd hit something a lot harder than a punching bag. Then there were the meetings. He'd vanish for hours, no explanation. He'd come back with this tension in his shoulders, looking more dangerous than a CEO ever should. The other employees, they respected him. But there was something else there, a carefulness, the kind you give someone you really don't want. To Cross, I told myself I was just being dramatic. By Friday, I'd almost convinced myself everything was normal. That night, I stayed late to organize his messy filing system. Around 8, the office was totally empty. I was in his office, tackling his chaotic paperwork. I opened a drawer I thought held tax documents. It didn't. My hand froze. Inside was a heavy, worn black leather jacket. And on the back, a patch that made my blood run cold. Road Reapers MC President, a skull with motorcycle handles for crossbones, surrounded by flames. No way, this had to be a joke, right? A Halloween costume, but underneath it were photos, Dominic on a huge motorcycle, surrounded by men covered in leather and tattoos. Every single one of them looked like they could break you in half. And Dominic, he looked completely different, wild, powerful, dangerous, nothing like the man who brought me coffee. I saw pictures of their clubhouse, bikes lined up. And weapons, actual weapons. My hands started shaking. I heard the rumble of motorcycle engines outside, getting closer, and pure panic shot through me. I had to put it all back. Forget I ever saw this. I shoved everything back in the drawer, my heart pounding in my chest. This couldn't be real. Dominic Cross, my perfect boss, was the leader of a biker gang. Working late, I jumped so hard I almost screamed. Dominic was standing in the doorway, leaning against the frame like he had all the time in the world. His tie was loose, and his eyes were locked right on me. He knew, oh God, he knew. I was just organizing your files, I stammered, like you asked, which drawer were you in? His voice was calm, way too calm, I couldn't lie. My face gives everything away, that the wrong one. He walked into the office, closing the door behind him. The click of the lock sent my stomach into free fall. There are cameras in this office, Maya. I saw what you found, I didn't mean to. I know, he stopped just a few feet away. But now we have a problem. My mouth went dry. Are you going to hurt me? Something flickered in his eyes, almost like he was offended. No. I don't hurt innocent people. Then what happens now? He studied me for a long moment. In the dim light, he looked more like the man in the photos than my boss. The company is real, he said finally. Cross Enterprises is a legitimate business. But it's also cover for other operations, the motorcycle club, the Road Reapers. Yes, I'm the president. My brain was short-circuiting. So you're a criminal. It's complicated. He ran a hand through his hair, looking tired for the first time. We operate in grey areas. We have our own rules, our own codes. We protect our own. Why are you telling me this? Because you already know. And now you have two choices. He stepped closer, so close I could feel the heat radiating from him. You can quit. Walk out right now and forget everything you saw. I'll pay you for the month and give you a glowing reference, or his eyes bored into mine. Or you stay. You keep working for me. And you never speak of this to anyone. Every rational part of my brain was screaming at me to run. Take option 1, get out, and never look back. But as I stood there, looking up at the danger in his eyes, at the two worlds colliding in this one man, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Alive. I'll stay, I whispered. A slow, dangerous smile spread across his face. That's either very brave or very stupid, Maya, probably both. I should have run, but instead, I made the worst or maybe the best decision of my life. I stayed. Thanks for watching. If you're hooked on this story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next. See you in the next video. Knowing Dominic's secret changed everything. I just couldn't stop thinking about him. Knowing Dominic's secret changed everything. I just couldn't stop thinking about him. The way he moved so easily between his two worlds, respected businessman by day, ruthless biker gang president by night. Which one was the real him, or were they both? I started watching him more. He looked up and caught me staring. Like what you see, his voice was low, and he was clearly amused. My face went completely hot. I'm sorry, I stammered. I should have knocked. The quarterly reports are on the desk is fine. He pulled the fresh shirt on, his eyes never leaving mine. You know, most people would be more careful around me now. Scared, even. I found my voice. Should I be scared? Probably, he said, buttoning his shirt. But you're not, are you? He was right. I wasn't, and that was the problem. Our professional relationship twisted into something else. Something charged and electric. Every conversation felt like we were dancing around a truth we both wanted but couldn't have. I need help with a shipment, he'd said. The real kind. You sure you want to know more? I should have said no, but I heard myself say yes. We were in his office, looking over the real shipping manifests. High-end electronics coming in from overseas to be sold through back channels. It wasn't exactly illegal, but it wasn't exactly legal either. This is a grey area, I said, my voice barely a whisper. Dominic just looked at me. Most of my life is grey areas, Maya. The businessman was gone, and the gang president was there when... How many? He stood up, pacing like a caged animal. I don't care what Victor wants. He looked at me, his eyes pure ice. You should go home. I can help, I insisted. This isn't filing paperwork, Maya. This is my other life, the dangerous one. But I didn't move. And something shifted in the air between us, into strides. He crossed the room and backed me against the desk, his hands on either side, caging me in. I could feel the heat radiating off his body, smell his cologne mixed with leather and danger. Do you understand what you're doing? He growled. The line you're crossing. My heart was pounding out of my chest. Maybe I want to cross it. His eyes dropped to my lips. For one perfect, terrifying moment, I thought he was going to kiss me. This can't happen. You don't belong in my world. Maya, you're good, clean, and I'm not. He walked out, leaving me breathless. But it was too late. I was already into deep. The next morning, I walked into his office. But if I'm keeping your secrets, I want to be useful, not just pretend I don't know the truth. He studied me for a long moment, then nodded. Tomorrow, the warehouse, wear jeans. And that's how I met the road reapers. The warehouse was huge. filled with a dozen men in leather cuts who all stopped to stare at me. After, Dominic found me outside. You did good. They don't trust me. They will. I should have said no. But when he handed me a helmet, I climbed on behind him. The second the engine roared to life, I wrapped my arms around his waist and held on tight. It was terrifying and exhilarating all at once. Freedom and danger mixed together. I'd never felt so alive. On Monday, I was in the back office when I heard voices through the thin walls. Dominic and someone else. Once her taken care of, a gruff voice said, "Who?" Dominic demanded. The girl, Maya. Victor says she's a liability. Knows too much. He's putting out a contract. I didn't sleep at all that night. My mind was stuck on a loop, replaying the same terrifying thought over and over. Someone was watching me. Waiting. The next morning, I was at my desk, trying my best to pretend everything was fine, when Dominic's phone vibrated. He was in a meeting, and part of my job was to filter his urgent messages, so I automatically glanced down at the screen. My breath caught in my throat. It was from an unknown number. The message read, "Contract confirmed. Payment arranged. Target Maya Rodriguez. Keep it quiet. No attention." The room started to spin. My fingers went ice cold as I stared at the screen, reading it again and again, just to make sure I wasn't losing my mind. This wasn't some vague threat. This was a plan. A detailed plan. Without even thinking, I just moved. I walked straight into Dominic's meeting room, interrupting everyone. He started to say my name, Maya, but stopped the second he saw my face. "We need to talk," I said, my voice shaking. "Right now." He didn't hesitate. He dismissed everyone immediately and followed me into his office. I handed him the phone. The change in him was instant. Whatever calm, professional mask he'd been wearing just vanished. "When did this arrive?" he asked, his voice dangerously quiet. Just now, I whispered back, "Dominic, why would anyone want this?" I don't even know this Victor person. He was already typing a rapid message on his own phone. "Get your things, we're leaving." "What? I can't just leave, Maya." He looked at me, really looked at me, and for the first time, I saw genuine fear in his eyes, not for himself, but for me. "This means people are already out there searching for you. We don't have time." My legs felt like they were about to give out. "I don't understand what I did. I'll explain everything," he promised. "Just trust me." 20 minutes later, we pulled up to a quiet house tucked away in a peaceful, ordinary neighborhood. Neat lawns, soft light pouring from the windows, it looked so normal. "This is where you live?" I asked, completely surprised. He gave a faint, almost shy smile. Surprising, I know. Inside, it felt even more normal. Shelves filled with books, a great music collection, framed photos on the walls. For a split second, my nerves actually started to settle, and then a loud crash shattered the calm. Someone had just forced their way into the house. Dominic moved instantly, positioning himself in front of me like a shield. Now, my heart was pounding out of my chest as I ran, hearing the chaos of raised voices and things breaking behind me. Dominic grabbed my hand, pulling me through the house toward a back exit. "Don't stop," he said, his voice firm and steady. We reached the garage, and within seconds we were on his motorcycle, gone. The city blurred into a streak of lights as we escaped into the maze of streets. I held onto him, afraid to breathe, afraid to even look back. Only when we finally stopped inside a secured, empty industrial building did the world finally go quiet again. I slid off the bike, my whole body shaking uncontrollably. Dominic steadied me, his hands surprisingly gentle on my arms. "You're safe," he said softly. "You're okay." They were real, I whispered, the reality finally hitting me. "This is all real." "I know," he said. "And I am so sorry you're caught in the middle of it." I felt a small sting on my cheek and realized I had a cut, probably from broken glass during the break-in. Dominic noticed it too and carefully cleaned it, his touch unexpectedly tender. "Please," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "Tell me why this is happening." He hesitated for a long moment, then sighed. 3 weeks ago, you flagged something unusual in a shipping record. You didn't know what it meant at the time, but it exposed something illegal, something Victor was hiding." My chest tightened. "He was using our shipping routes for trafficking." Dominic continued quietly. "I shut it down, reported it, and it all started because you noticed a tiny detail that everyone else had missed." "I never meant to." "I know," he said gently. "And you did the right thing." We just stood there, too close, the air crackling with raw emotion. "Dominic," I whispered. And then he kissed me. It wasn't planned. It wasn't careful or thought out. It was the kind of desperate kiss born from pure fear, overwhelming relief, and everything we had both been trying so hard to deny for weeks. When we finally pulled apart, he rested his forehead against mine. "This makes things harder," he said, his voice rough. "I know," I breathed, "but I won't let anything happen to you," he promised. And in that moment, I believed him. I absolutely believed him, and somehow I knew the danger wasn't over. It was only just beginning. Thanks for watching, and if you want to see what happens next, make sure to subscribe. The 3 days we spent in that safe place felt completely unreal, like time had split into a before and an after. The apartment was right above the clubhouse. It wasn't anything fancy, but it was secure. Dominic's people were on watch constantly, rotating in shifts. No strangers allowed, no surprises. For the first time since my world had exploded, I could actually breathe without constantly looking over my shoulder. And we talked. We really, truly talked. That first night, we sat on the couch until long after midnight, with empty takeout containers on the table between us. The lights were low, and the chaos of the outside world felt a million miles away. "I grew up in foster care," Dominic said quietly. He was staring at the floor, not at me. 7 different homes. No stability. No one ever stayed. I just listened, letting him speak. "When I found the Reapers," he continued, "it wasn't about seeking power. It was about finding a place to belong. They became the closest thing I ever had to a real family." "Is that why you lead them now?" I asked. He nodded slowly. "I wanted to change things. Clean them up. There are lines we just don't cross anymore." His eyes finally lifted to meet mine. "That's why I went after Victor. Some things don't deserve to be met with silence." When it was my turn, I told him about my life. All my safe choices, my careful plans, how I never stepped outside the lines. "I've never felt truly alive," I admitted. Not until all this started. Not until you. He managed a faint smile. That's not exactly a comforting thought. Probably not, I said, but it's the truth. The second day, he insisted I learn how to look out for myself. Not in some dramatic, action movie way, just basic awareness. How to stay calm, how to get away if things went wrong. This isn't about fighting, he said, it's about having confidence. He showed me simple movements, how to keep my balance. How to break free if someone grabbed my arm. It was all practical, nothing violent, but with every correction, he had to get a little closer. His presence was so grounding, so steady, the air between us felt charged. Like something was just waiting to happen. We kept avoiding it, until that night, we were in the kitchen, both of us tired and restless. The silence stretched on for what felt like forever. This is complicated, I finally said, my voice barely a whisper. I know, and it's dangerous. I know. I looked up at him. Then why does it feel like the only honest thing happening right now? He didn't answer with words. The kiss was slow. Careful, nothing reckless or rushed. It was just two people who'd been holding everything in for way too long. For a little while, all the fear just faded away. The whole world shrank to the space between us. Later, lying quietly side by side, I felt a sense of calm that I hadn't experienced since this all began. Stay, he murmured into the darkness. When this is over, I didn't even have to think about it. I'm not going anywhere. But reality came crashing back on the third morning. We heard heavy footsteps outside, then a sharp knock at the door. Dominic was alert instantly, pulling on a shirt as he moved toward the entrance. It's Jax, a voice called out. Dominic opened the door to his second-in-command, whose face was written all over with tension. We've got trouble, Jax said. Victor targeted 3 of our businesses overnight. The damage is major. Dominic let out a slow breath. Was anyone hurt? A couple of guys are shaken up, but they'll recover. I saw the weight of it all settle back onto Dominic's shoulders. This was never just about me. It was so much bigger. You should go, I said quietly. They need you. He shook his head. I'm not leaving you. We do this together, I said firmly. I won't be the reason you abandon your people. Before he could answer, Jax hesitated. There's something else. Sienna's downstairs. Dominic stiffened. Tell her to leave, Sienna, I asked. My ex, he said shortly. She's part of the club. She says it's about Victor, Jax added. I took a deep breath. Then we should probably hear her out. Moments later, Sienna walked into the apartment. She was confident, sharp-eyed, and clearly comfortable in this world. Her gaze flicked to me. Completely unreadable. Dom, she said, we need to talk. There's nothing personal left between us, Dominic replied coldly. She glanced at me. You're risking everything for someone who doesn't belong here. That's enough, Dominic warned. I'm here because Victor is escalating, she pushed on. And because if you don't lead this club properly, more people are going to get hurt. The tension in the room was so thick you could cut it with a knife. I could feel the choice pressing in on him from all sides. Just then, Jax's phone buzzed. He answered it, and his face went pale. Boss, he said quietly, his voice strained. Victor just sent a message. He knows where we are. My stomach dropped. This wasn't a warning. It was a promise. And whatever Victor was planning, we were already standing right in the middle of it. Victor's message was simple. Meet on neutral ground. Negotiate. Come alone or I die. It's a trap, I said immediately. Of course it's a trap, Dominic replied, already loading his guns. But it's also our best shot at ending this. The plan came together in minutes. Dominic would meet Victor at the old shipping yard with his best fighters. A show of force. Either make Victor back down or take him out. I was to stay behind at the safe house with full guards. I don't like this, I said as Dominic prepared to leave. He cupped my face in his hands. I'll be back in 2 hours. Then we end this and disappear. Somewhere safe. Just you and me. He kissed me hard, then left with Jax and 10 other Reapers. The sound of their motorcycles faded into the distance. I was left alone with 4 men I barely knew, in an apartment that suddenly felt way too quiet. Sienna was still there, just watching me with those cold eyes. You really think this ends well for you? Sienna, not now. He always comes back to the club. To us. You're just a distraction. I ignored her, pacing near the window. Something felt so wrong. Victor was too smart for this. He had to know Dominic would bring backup. So why? Oh no, the meeting is the distraction, I whispered, with a real target, and just like that the power cut out in the sudden darkness. I heard sounds from below, breaking glass, shouts, gunshots, they're here. One of the guards yelled. Everything happened at once. The door burst open, men in black poured in. My guards fought back, but there were just too many. I saw one guard go down, then another. I ran for the bedroom and grabbed Dominic's backup gun from the nightstand. My hands were shaking. But I remembered what he taught me, aim for the center, breathe, squeeze the trigger. Don't pull it. A man came through the doorway. I fired, he went down. Another one appeared. I fired again. Missed. He lunged at me. I dropped the gun and used the move Dominic showed me. I stepped to the side, driving my elbow hard into his throat. He choked and stumbled back. I ran. The apartment was chaos. Bodies. Blood. Sienna was gone. Either she ran or was taken. I didn't know. I made it to the garage where the bikes were kept. I'd never driven a motorcycle by myself, but I'd watched Dominic do it 100 times. How hard could it be? Turns out, very hard. I fumbled with the key. My hand shaking so badly I almost dropped it. The engine roared to life. Men were coming down the stairs. I didn't think. I just twisted the throttle like I'd seen Dominic do. The bike lurched forward. I nearly fell off, but I held on, bursting right through the garage door and into the alley. I pulled out my phone with one hand, trying to control the bike with the other. Maya. Dominic answered on the first ring. What's wrong? It's a trap. I screamed over the wind and the engine. They're here. The safe house was the real target. Your men are. Where are you? I got out. On a bike. I don't know where I'm going. Stay on the line. I'm coming. 2 minutes. But I didn't have 2 minutes. Black SUVs appeared behind me. They were faster, better drivers. They forced me off the road and I crashed into an alley, the bike sliding out from under me. Pain shot through my leg. Hands grabbed me. I was dragged into a warehouse. And Victor was waiting. He was older than I expected, with a scarred face and cold eyes. He looked at me like I was an insect. Maya Rodriguez. You've caused me a lot of problems. Good, I spat, trying to sound braver than I felt. Dominic will come for you. And when he does, I'll kill him in front of you. Then I'll kill you, simple. He'll destroy you. Victor just laughed. He'll try. But Dominic Cross is soft now. He cares about you. That makes him weak. He'll never choose you over his club. When it comes down to it, he'll sacrifice you. You're wrong, am I? The warehouse door exploded inward. Dominic stood there, a silhouette against the light, and he looked like death itself, behind him. His entire crew, let her go. His voice was pure violence. Victor smiled. Choose, Cross. Walk away with your club, or fight me and watch them all die. Dominic's eyes found mine. I saw the choice forming. Then he stepped forward. Watch me, he said to Victor, and he charged. The fight was brutal. Dominic and Victor were evenly matched. But Dominic was fighting for something more. They crashed into crates, threw each other into walls. Victor's men opened fire. The Reapers fired back. The warehouse erupted. Through it all, Dominic and Victor fought like animals. Victor got the upper hand, grabbed a piece of rebar, and swung it at Dominic's head. Dominic blocked it, but Victor kicked him in the ribs, right where I'd seen his scars. Dominic went down. Victor stood over him, raising the rebar for the final blow. I saw the gun. One of Victor's men had dropped it near me. I grabbed it. Aim for the center. Breathe. Squeeze. The shot echoed through the warehouse. Victor froze. Looked down at the blood blooming on his chest. Then at me. And he fell. Silence. Then police sirens in the distance. We have to go. Jax yelled. Now. Dominic was on his feet, running to me. Can you walk? I think so. He pulled me up, and we ran. We got to his bike and tore out of there seconds before the cops arrived. We didn't stop until we were miles away, parked on a deserted overlook. You saved my life, he said, breathless. You came back for me. Always. He pulled me close. I love you, Maya. I know it's insane. I know we barely know each other. But I love you. I love you too. We kissed like the world was ending. We can't go back, he said. Either of us, the police, Victor's crew. It's all burned now. Then where do we go? He smiled. Wild and free, anywhere we want. We went back to the office one last time. It was 3 a.m. The building was dark, completely empty. Dominic moved through his office like a ghost, dismantling his double life piece by piece, shredding documents, wiping hard drives, erasing every trace of evidence. I sat at my desk and wrote a resignation letter. It all felt so surreal. Just 3 weeks ago, this job was everything I thought I needed. Now, I was walking away from it all without a second thought. Dominic asked, "You ready?" Almost. I replied, taking one last look round. Jax arrived just before dawn. He looked at Dominic with an expression that was somewhere between respect and deep sadness. "The club's yours now, brother," Dominic said, handing him a set of keys. "You'll lead them better than I ever did." "That's not true," Jax countered. He pulled Dominic into a rough, heartfelt hug. "You made us better men. Don't you ever forget that. Take care of them, always." Jax then looked over at me. "You take care of him." "I will," I promised. We watched Jax leave, and in that moment, I truly saw the immense weight of what Dominic was giving up. His family. His brotherhood. Everything he'd built from the ground up. "Are you sure?" I asked quietly, needing to hear it one more time. He took my hand, his grip firm and reassuring. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. To motorcycles. To backpacks holding everything we owned. A set of fake IDs that cost more than I even wanted to know. And a brilliant sunrise that promised a world of new beginnings. We rode north, leaving the city behind us. Away from the violence, away from the danger, and away from the lives we used to have. We found a small, quiet coastal town where nobody asked questions. We rented a shop with a little apartment right above it. Dominic opened a motorcycle repair business, a completely legitimate one this time. I helped him run it, handling the books and managing the customers. Life was simple. It was quiet. It was normal. And it was absolutely perfect. Some mornings, I'd wake up and for a split second, forget where I was. Forget that we were living under different names. Forget that somewhere out there, people were still looking for us. People who wanted answers we would never give. But then Dominic would pull me close and in his arms. None of that mattered. The fear would just melt away. 6 months later, we were riding along the coastal highway. The vast ocean was on one side and majestic cliffs were on the other. The sun was setting in breathtaking shades of orange and gold. I held onto Dominic tightly, my cheek pressed against his back, and I felt truly, completely free for the first time in my entire life. They always say you can't escape your past. Maybe that's true. Maybe one day it would finally catch up to us. Maybe we'd have to pack up and run again. But with him by my side, I was willing to try. Because sometimes, the most dangerous choice you can make is the one that finally makes you feel alive. And I'd rather live just one day feeling this way than a whole lifetime playing it safe. We disappeared into the sunset together. And honestly, I never looked back. Thanks for watching our story. If you enjoyed this journey, make sure to like and subscribe for more. We'll see you in the next one.